Yeah, from our standpoint, the folks that are in the captive with us are very similar in to Famous distributors with some small, some large, but people that make deliveries, people that understand, your customers, want to know, do you have it? How much is it? When can I get it? Right? It's not that complicated, but they're very good business people. They take risk very seriously. They know how to manage their claims, which is very important. One of the reasons, captives maybe get a bad rap or it's hard to get your head around them is some of these captives are massive, tens of thousands of companies in them, and you really don't know who you're jumping into bed with. This particular captive, over the past decade, I have gotten to know these CFOs and owners, and most of the time at the board meetings, they're owners. I've gotten to know them very well, and we have shared a lot of best practices. The example I'll give you, and I don't know if now's the time, but the reason we have 168 power units at Famous. We have cameras in every one of our trucks, including the cabs. That came out of the captive. Okay. And it's not just cameras, it's the whole operating system and how it ties into the logistics system and how it's tied to a incentive program for drivers where they can earn up to $1,000 a year for good safety. That all came out of the captive. Never would have, of course you say, well, sure, I've got cameras in my vehicles, but it's not just about putting a piece of hardware and having some software in there. You got to have the whole program, and that's just one of many examples that this captive has brought to Famous, because the right people are in it, the right owners are in it, and that to me was I view that as the biggest risk. And it took me about 2 years to figure out that I don't have to be concerned about that anymore, because you go to these meetings and you have to be active, by the way. And if you're active and you go to these meetings, you're going to find you're in the right place with the right people.
Yeah, that's a great point about only good risks are accepted. I think we probably disqualify half of the people that we look at for captives just because of prior claim experience. Now that changes, right, over time as those companies get better. It allows them the opportunity to participate in the captive, but you certainly don't want an open door policy with companies that aren't managing their risk if you're in a captive.
Yeah, and Brad, you should mention that there is a risk review that goes on every quarter, every year, and people are put on a watch list, and people have been removed from the captive.
Yeah.
So just because you're lucky enough to get in, and we'd love to have you, if you qualify, it doesn't mean that it's really where your work begins. And trust me, if you do the work, I'm happy to share with you down the road in the call here what our return on premium's been. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that from your traditional brokerage. And, look, we've all got people we went to high school and college with that are in the insurance business, right? And no one wants to disappoint them, but you're not going to get this kind of return from your good friend who's been selling you insurance for the past 20 years, right?
Yeah, and I'd add to that we were already doing a lot of those safety and taking it really serious around risk, but we weren't really benefiting from our good claims. We were just seeing rates increase, as Brad was talking about originally, and now we're in the position to actually to reap the rewards of all of those efforts, and it helped us get into the captive for sure. But being safety minded is part of having a fleet of vehicles and people who work in warehouses, and it's already been part of the culture. And I think having those yearly assessments just adds to that culture, and then sharing those best practices is kind of the added benefit to all of the financial rewards.
I think the big difference is it's not an insurance company person walking around with the clipboard and the checklist who's been at a contractor, the day before, and then, a farm the day before that. It's someone who's been in the distribution business and understands what it is that you all have to do and can make practical suggestions to your businesses.